Hello guys. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about Zhong, one of the strongest fighters in the game. In this video, I will talk about how Zhong works in full details, which includes his passive, skills, builds, emblems, along with some tips and guide on how to use him in a match. So, without further ado, let's get started with the video. Zhong has remained as one of the strongest and most unique fighters in the game. And currently, he is one of the most picked fighters in the current meta. He is a good counter to heroes with high mobility, as he can use his ultimate to keep them in range. But mastering him can be difficult, especially if you have never used him before. So, in order to master a hero, one must understand how his skills and passive works. So let's start with his passive. With the help of his passive, every time you deal damage to an enemy, they will be marked by his passive, and his passive will erupt once the enemy is marked with 5 stacks of his passive. And Zhong will begin consuming 1 stack of passive from the enemy every 0.4 seconds, dealing physical damage equal to 30 plus 2.5% of the target's lost HP. And each stack of passive will restore 6% of your lost HP. And you will also gain 30% extra movement speed for 3 seconds. His passive is the main reason why Zhong is so strong and hard to kill in a fight, as it restores your HP and also gives you movement speed, allowing you to continue fighting without having to worry about your HP. Now, let's talk about his first skill. With the help of his first skill, Zhong infuses his power into his cloak and turns it into a weapon, which starts to attack nearby enemies after a short delay. The inner area of the cloak deals 220 physical damage, whereas the sharpened edge deals 275% damage and also applies 2 stacks of his passive. The outer side of the skill deals more damage compared to the inner area. So make sure to keep a little distance between you and the enemy when using this skill, so that you will be able to deal more damage. And this skill has a slight delay after you finish casting it, making it easy for the enemies to dodge your skill. So make sure to time your skill before using it. And his first skill is your main source of damage, and it also has the shortest cooldown, so make sure to max out this skill first. Now, let's talk about his second skill. With the help of his second skill, Zhong unleashes the Dragon Soul, dealing 150 physical damage to all enemies in front and slowing them by 60% for 1 second. And upon hitting an enemy with your second skill, your next basic attack will be enhanced, and you will dash towards the enemy and also apply multiple stacks of your passive, and deal up to 200% physical damage. This skill is really useful when chasing enemies, as you could slow them down and also close the gap between you and the enemy. But make sure to aim this skill properly. Now, let's talk about his third skill. With the help of his third skill, Zhong leaps towards the designated area with his full strength, dealing 180 physical damage. And after a short delay, enemies within the area of his third skill will be knocked airborne for 1 second, and take 180 additional physical damage. This skill also has an animation cast time, which means that opponents can dodge when they see Zhong leaping. And the knock-up effect is also delayed, so if enemies are near the outer edge of this skill, they can simply walk out of the circle. So make sure to use your second skill to slow down the enemies before using this skill, and that way, you will have higher chances on landing this skill. Now, let's talk about his fourth skill. With the help of his ultimate, Zhong transforms into his black dragon form, and during this state, you cannot use any skills, but you can move freely and knock back enemy heroes in your path while dealing physical damage. You can also fly outside the map, and you also gain 600 extra max HP, and you also gain immunity from control effects during the dragon form. And upon exiting the black dragon form, he enters dragonoid form, gaining increased range on all his skills for several seconds. This is a great skill for chasing and escaping from enemies. And you can also dive through the backlines of the enemies using the dragon form. allowing you to take down their squishy damage dealers without having to worry about their frontliner. But remember, this skill has a very long cooldown, so make sure to use it wisely. Now, before we move on, here are some fun facts you probably didn't know about. In 2018, there was a hero named Hang Tuah, and he was supposed to be released as a fighter, but this hero's release was later cancelled because of a strong backlash by Indonesian players against the hero. And talking about cancelled, these two emotes were also cancelled. Can you guess which hero these emotes are? And Zhong is the third fighter to have 4 abilities, and he is also the hero with the most quotes in the game. And his ultimate also has the longest cooldown in the game. Now, let's talk about his builds and emblems. For Zhong, this is the best build for him. For damage, you only need War Axe and Hunter Strike. War Axe will increase your damage every time you deal damage to an enemy. And Hunter Strike will provide you with physical penetration, allowing you to deal more damage. And Dominance Ice will allow you to man up against enemy marksmen, as it reduces their regen abilities and attack speed. And Oracle will increase the healing you get from your passive, and it will also provide you with magical defense. And Brute Force will provide you with physical defense, all while increasing your damage every time you deal damage to enemies. Brute Force is just like War Axe, but the only difference is that Brute Force will provide you with physical defense. Now, let's talk about his emblems and talents. For his emblem, go for the Fighter emblem, as this is the best emblem for Zhong. And for his first talent, go for Rapture. This will provide you with 5 adaptive penetration, allowing you to deal more damage. And for his second talent, go for Festival of Blood. This will provide you with 6% extra spellbam, and every assist and kill will also grant you an additional 0.4 spellbam. And this can get stacked up to 8 times. And for his core talent, go for Brave Smite. This will restore 4% of your max HP every time you deal damage to an enemy using your skill. Now, let's talk about how to use him in a game. During the early game, Zhong is a strong laner, so you should be able to easily outfarm your opponent. Make sure to clear the minion waves quickly, so that you can rotate and help your team. And remember, as a fighter, you constantly need to keep an eye on the minimap, and rotate according to the situations. As a fighter, your main objectives should be helping your teammates right from the start of the game. But if your teammates are doing fine, then you can freeze the lane and deny the enemy from getting farmed. Here, I'm playing against Aldous, and Aldous is weak during the early game, so taking that to my advantage, I'm just gonna hide in the bush near the minions. And this way, I will still get gold and experience from the minions. And since Aldous is far away from the minions, he won't receive any gold, and his level will also be lower than me. And if he tries to come and farm the minions, I can just kill him. Remember, freezing the lane means not attacking the minions, and as long as you stay near the minions, you will still get your farm. So make sure to use this strategy when playing as the side laner, but this strategy will only work if you are stronger than the enemy. And make sure to also help your jungler secure the turtle, as taking down the turtle will give you and your team extra gold and also a shield. Now, let's talk about his mid to late game. During the mid game, you should have at least 1 or 2 of your core items, depending on your farming efficiency. And during this stage, you must prioritize joining teamfights. And during a teamfight, use your ultimate's dragon form to zone out the enemies. And if the enemies are together, you can dive towards them and use your third skill and then petrify, so that the enemies won't be able to escape. But do this only when your teammates are near you. And make sure to also push the side lanes whenever possible, as you could easily use your ultimate to escape or join a teamfight. And during the late game, your main priorities should be going for their mage and marksman, as they are the main damage dealers. So make sure to use your ultimate to fly towards the backline of the enemies, and eliminate their mage and marksman. And during the late game, you must also try protecting your mage and marksman, because the enemies will also be trying to kill them. Remember, timing and positioning is the key during the late game, So always make sure to wait for the perfect opportunity, as being impatient could lead to an early defeat. So, what do you think about Yu Zhong? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to like the video, and also subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.